Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. Seth, clinical psychologist, and today I am going to start this video with a statistic. What's the statistic about? It's about feeling alone or feeling lonely. And actually, what I'm going to get to is people who actually feel alone or lonely inside a romantic relationship. Everyone is supposed to live their life, right? Like a Hallmark movie. Everybody's supposed to be happy and feel understood and connected and la da da. Well, actually, so often that isn't the case. But first, let's start here. According to a Gallup and National Health and Well-Being Index, this was from 2024, okay? Respondents in this survey were asked if they felt alone a lot of the day yesterday, okay? So I'd like to make things interactive. What percent would you guess of people, of adults who were asked, did you feel alone a lot of the day yesterday? What percent would you guess said yes, they did? They felt alone a lot of the day yesterday. Think about that. 20%. That's 1 in 5. And you know what's wild about that? When we look at statistics and research, sometimes numbers can even be higher because someone might not want to admit to themselves or to anyone else that they felt alone or that they felt lonely. So the number could be higher. But in this survey, 20% of adults reported feeling alone a lot of the day yesterday. Well, let's take that information of such a high percentage of people that felt alone, that may feel alone in their daily life. Let's take that and let's apply it to romantic relationships. Now, in romantic relationships, everybody knows the expectations are that they are good and comforting and positive and real sources of comfort in everyone's lives. Now, the truth is, most people, if not all people who have had a romantic relationship, know that there are difficult days or difficult periods in romantic relationships and that it's not all honey and roses, but there is still that expectation, that ideal, I think. And I think a lot of times it's pop songs that talk about, endless love and movies that make relationships a lot of times just look so easy and breezy. So there is this expectation that a lot of people feel like they should always be happy, that if you are in a relationship, it means that you have someone. You have someone who understands you and that you get to feel that way each day. You can always rely on that sense of love, that unconditional understanding and compassion, that there's always there someone to listen to you. Well, we know that's not true. We don't know the exact number of people in romantic relationships that feel alone or feel lonely, but it happens. There are many people, in fact, who do feel alone in a relationship, who do feel misunderstood, who do feel that they are not heard, who do feel that the other person does not really listen to them. And what's worse, sometimes in those relationships, you feel like the other person really doesn't actually care very much about how you feel about things. And that is really upsetting. When you are in a relationship and you feel like you're sad about something, or you feel angry about something, or have any complex negative feelings about something, if you feel like the person that you're with doesn't really feel curious and want to know more and also want to understand what you're going through in that moment, you can feel very alone. A lot of times when you have conflicts or even minor arguments, a lot of times there's no resolution. You never feel like there is this point at which each person sees eye to eye. In some relationships, people do feel lonely. People do feel alone, even though they can look to their left or their right so often at the dinner table or laying in bed and be like, well, there's someone there. And that can actually be even more upsetting because you've got proof someone's right there. And I still feel this way. A lot of times that is like a mirror. When you look at that person and you feel alone, that situation is a lot of times like a mirror. It will show you how there is this disconnect. Someone's there, and yet there's not an emotional connection. You feel physically connected to some extent. You could oftentimes even reach out and touch them, and yet there is an emotional disconnection. That can be really upsetting. So, one of the things that I want you to know, if you're in a relationship where you feel alone, you are not the only one. There are many, many, many other people out there that feel that way. One of the things that you can do is you can talk to your partner and you can share that. You can say, I need to tell you, there are some times, even though we are technically in this relationship, that I feel alone. And the reason why I feel alone, and then share some examples, because sometimes I feel like you don't really listen, or sometimes it seems like you really don't care about my feelings, or sometimes you don't really ask me about the experiences that I have. If I say I had an argument with a friend or I had a really bad day, it feels like you don't actually ask me follow up questions. And so that makes me feel like you don't care. That makes me feel sometimes like I'm alone in this relationship. You can express those things and then see how the person that you're with responds. Ask them, would you be willing to try to ask me some more gentle questions when I'm feeling down? Would you be willing to make an effort to try to connect with me more? And then give them some time. A lot of times when people change these dynamics in relationships, it can't change overnight. It's going to be a process. And sometimes it's a process that can take months. So look at the calendar. Ask yourself, am I willing to try to give this a chance for a few months? Am I willing to try to keep bringing up the issue, maybe once a week or once every other week in a gentle, non confrontational way? Yes. Am I willing to make certain efforts myself to try to connect more, to try to ask them about their day, to try to model some of that behavior for them? I can't just expect it from them to me, right? So ask yourself if you're willing to do all of those things and then willing to look at the calendar a month from now, 3 months from now, and ask whether things feel any different if you feel a little less alone in the relationship. Those are some good ideas for how to start to deal with this issue when you feel alone in a relationship. And of course, you don't need a psychologist to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Talking to a mental health professional can always be a good place for you to explore these issues deeper. All right. Feel free to subscribe to this channel so that you get the videos as they become available. Also, you can check me out on Instagram, Insight, Dr. Seth Podcast, and check out any number of the videos that I have on this YouTube channel. I've got a lot, and they're all designed to be helpful for you. Hopefully, you feel in watching these videos a little more understood. There is someone out there and people like this who can understand what this feels like. Have a good one, everybody.